and welcome back to another episode of Musical Chairs with me, Cheer Up Charlie. And today we have somebody a bit different, somebody from behind the scenes, and it's my first interview with someone from behind the scenes. So please give a warm welcome to the Peter Pan of London, the West End's Wonder Woman, Emma D. Souza! Whoop, 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 whoop!
Thank you, Charlie. That is the most lovely introduction I've ever had. I've never been called the Peter Pan of the West End, but I'm loving that. I'm normally a West End Wendy, so but anyway.
Yeah. Well, I think you're a Peter Pan.
Okay, I'll go with Peter Pan.
So if you're ready for some funny questions, some interesting questions, and some serious questions.
I'll try my best, Charlie.
Let's get right into it then.
Okay.
So, did you grow up loving the theatre, and do you remember the first show you ever saw?
Yes, I did grow up loving the theatre. The first show I ever saw was The Gingerbread Man, which was written by a wonderful playwright called David Wood. And in fact, his daughter ended up working with me on Kids Week for many years. And I know, and also I was very lucky. When I was younger than you, Charlie, I was in a show called Evita, and I was one of the children in Evita, and they just I didn't go to any sort of stage school or do anything. I was rubbish at sport, but they picked me, and I'd go up every 6 weeks and go and perform in Evita, and it was really exciting and really good fun. So that's sort of what I first got to love about theatre.
Cool. Did you ever want to be on the stage, or were you like my mum and loves to listen to music, but that is as far as you go?
I think I'm quite like your mum. I think I realised quite early on that I wasn't really good enough to be on the stage. And actually, I'm not nearly as talented as you are, Charlie. And I actually was the only person in the NYMT that couldn't really sing. But I just loved the whole camaraderie, and I just loved the sort of feeling when you're in the theatre, and it's just when you see really good theatre, it just makes everything feel better. And so I was very lucky to get the job I got, which is all about telling other people how brilliant theatre is and making it as accessible as possible. So I sort of found my perfect job, really, because I knew I didn't want to be on stage, but I wanted to do something that was really closely connected with theatre.
Yeah. So did you start off as the office junior, making tea and coffee and delivering biscuits, or have you always been important at Salt?
I probably had a really interesting journey at Salt, because I started when I was quite young, and I went in and I was the development officer, and my role was to do programmes to encourage people to come to the theatre. And I had a boss who was very lovely, but he sort of let me get on and do stuff. So yes, I did do, do you know what I mean, sort of making the tea and being, sort of doing stuff, but I was really enthusiastic, Charlie. I was a little bit like you, and I just thought, I'm just going to do lots of things. And nobody really stopped me, Charlie. Before it was too late, I'd done stuff. And so I started doing, we did an event called Stage Fair when I first started. And I'd worked in events, and I really loved theatre. And this was sort of an event which sort of was for the groups market, to try and bring coaches into London theatre. So I did it, and I'd run the event, and I was really proud of it. And then I was sort of called up by all these really important producers going, we don't know if we want to do this anymore. And I was like, oh no, what am I going to do? Thinking that's the main thing I've been brought in to do. And then on Broadway, they were doing something called Kids Night on Broadway. And I just thought, actually, I really love, probably my two passions are theatre and kids. Actually, if I hadn't done this, I'd love to have been a teacher. And my brother's a teacher. I thought I've always wanted that, or a doctor, which is I was to be a kids doctor, but I wasn't clever enough to do that. And so I ended up doing Kids Week, and the idea was that children could go free. And in the first year, it was just hard enough to convince all the producers that they to offer me free tickets for kids to come and see their show. And it was tiny. We was literally blowing up balloons in our office and doing everything. And then it just grew. And I think I was just very lucky that I think I was just a little bit like you, Charlie. I was really enthusiastic, and I think people felt really bad. I was like, let's just do it. And they thought, you can't say no. So I just kept pushing forward. So that's how I sort of started. But yeah, and I sort of worked my way up. And I think I've just gone, let's try and do this. And that's sort of been the secret of my success, or whether you question it as success, but I've just gone, let's just try it and work really hard. But it's really easy to work hard when you're doing something you love.
Yeah, I'd say it's success. So going to the theatre can be costly, especially if you're like me and would like to go on a weekly basis. Kids Week is the most amazing initiative. How on earth did you come up with that and make it grow to the point over 1.6 million families have benefited from it?
Well, I think it was just, do you know what it was? It was keeping to a really simple premise. So actually, it was about the fact that kids would not have to pay. So for every adult that paid, a child would go free, and then up to 2 additional children could go at half price. And I think that every time producers went, oh, well, Emma, could we do something where we did something slightly different and we don't spend all of that money? And we, we do something where, for example, we could do 50% off. I said, no, kids have to go free. And I think because we actually stuck to that really simple model, and also, you know what, the shows were amazing because they could see it worked. And so in the first year, it was a week, and it was Kids Week, and that was just about getting the shows to do free tickets. And then my boyfriend at the time, who's now become my husband, was doing a show called Inspector Calls. And I said, look, I'd really like to do, and he was doing another show called Woman in Black. I said, can we do some sort of events to make Kids Week for the next year a bit more interesting, exciting? And so I had Billy Differ, who worked on Cats, and they did a Cats workshop for me. And so it was wonderful that everybody just got really behind it. So I was so lucky that people and actors, I'm sure you've met a lot now, but they really are such generous people. They kind of really enjoy having that immediate reaction from kids. So I wanted to be able to give people the experience I'd had backstage at Evita, because I'd be able to see how everything worked and how, all the different things. And so it was incredible. Like the Lion King was just opening, and they went, look, Emma, we really want support because we know it's expensive to go to see the Lion King. Lots of people would like to go. So they gave me an entire matinee for Kids Week. It was amazing because we had all of the children, and they're all there because of Kids Week, all singing along to the Circle of Life. And what was wonderful is at the end, the musical director took that workshop. And this is another thing. It's so nice to celebrate those people that people don't always see, the dance captains, the musical directors, the sound, the lighting. There's so many different people. And everybody over the years has got involved in Kids Week. I think that's why it's been such a success, is that people have really embraced. And we've had lovely families who've sort of literally grown up with Kids Week. I mean, Carrie Hope Fletcher, who I think have you met Carrie Hope Fletcher? Have I made that up? Yeah. She came as a child to Kids Week, and then came and supported us when she became such a big West End star. So yeah, it's something I'm really proud of, and I think it really helped just because I never intended to stay in my job for so long, but I love it. And so that's meant I've been able to really nurture Kids Week and really let it grow, and it's been very sad not to do it properly this year.
When you helped organise the Queen's visit to Theatreland, did you at least get to meet her? Because my daddy did when he got his MBA.
No, your daddy did more than I did. I sort of had to stand quite far at the back, and I know it was not, because I held some of the people who were sort of actually meeting them. I held their coats. And then I know. Well, I was trying to be useful. I often am always in the background, Charlie. But I met the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge. And I actually, because they were doing an event for us, and so I did get to meet them. I also got to meet Meghan and Harry, so I did get to meet them. So I didn't actually get to meet the Queen directly, but I was very close. I was very close to the Queen, and I just did a little nod, but I didn't actually get to officially meet because I was no way important enough.
But you were the one who helped. You were the one who organised it.
I know, but I was sort of like, I was too busy behind the scenes making sure everything had gone like clockwork. So we had a really tricky itinerary because they were going to lots and lots of different shows. And so yes, I mean I sort of did. It was, and we had Prince Philip met the cast of Chicago, so there was a big Prince of the Showgirls sort of headline, and so she was very lovely. I was in the same room as her, but I wasn't formally introduced. Probably would have been now, but I wasn't then.
It must be absolute chaos getting the Olivier Awards together so that everything runs smoothly. How huge is the team working with you to do that?
Oh, well, so my boss, Julian Bird, he sort of produces it. So he has a team, the production team, and he has a team of sort of 3 people who work on it really sort of all the time. And it takes about 6 months, you know, to really build up. And then on the day and over the actual weekend of the Olivier's, we have a whole host of other people. There's hundreds of people come in and help on the actual day. In my team, I tend to look after the sponsors. So MasterCard, who's our brilliant sponsor, making sure that they're all happy, doing all the press, all the social media. And so I have a sort of team that come in, but my team, the actual team that works on it on my side are quite small, but there's 9 of us who sort of work, but we do it not on Olivier's, we're doing lots and lots of different things. And then really I have myself and Eva who do the press, and then I have a brilliant lady called Amy who comes in with her team and helps me run the red carpet. But it is really, it's so full on. I mean, it's brilliant, but you don't stop. And so you sort of, once we get into the Albert Hall on the Friday, and we set up all the press room, we set up all the backstage stuff, and I'm constantly trying to make sure I can get interviews in and sort stuff out. And it's and we also have a big build up. So we do a lovely event called the Nominees event, which is my favourite event, where we just, everybody's a winner at that point, and we celebrate everyone. And it's very big. I mean, we're setting up, you know, we usually start conversations probably sort of now, this sort of time for next year. And so it's a massive, I'm really proud of being part of the Olivier's, because I didn't, when I first started working, I didn't do that at all. But then when I got a promotion, that was one of the things that I was involved with, and it's been a really exciting thing to be able to be part of.
Cool. So West End Live features 2 of my favourite people. Was this another of your initiatives, and how do you manage to put something so spectacular together?
Yeah, West End Live, it's really, it's my favourite event, because I sort of been from West End Live from the very beginning, and it was set up by Councillor Robert Davis, who worked in Westminster, and he loved theatre, he still loves theatre, and he wanted to do something that celebrated theatre, and we started off in Leicester Square. And at that point, trying to get shows to just perform not on their stages was really hard. And so I went out and tried to get them to do that. And in the first year, we didn't have that many shows. But then it sort of grew and grew. And I now work with a wonderful man called Richie Gibson, who is the head of events at Westminster. And Kaylee and my team. So we start programming West End Live from sort of April, and now it's gone, you know. So when we were in Leicester Square, and then Leicester Square was being rebuilt and redone, and so we couldn't have it in Leicester Square, and so we were able to use that to move to Trafalgar Square, which is where it is now, and it's become such a massive event. So whereas early it was really hard to persuade the shows to do it, now it is absolutely impossible trying to fit everything in, and it's my favourite event, because I get to be backstage and I get to see all the wonderful performers, and I am the lady with the clipboard. I'm making sure they all arrive, making sure they all get up on stage on time, and it's lovely. I'm sure you found this, Charlie, there's a real sense of sort of community and camaraderie in the theatre in the West End, and everybody gets together, everybody knows each other, they've all been in different shows together, and it's really good fun. It is one of my, I really miss the fact we weren't going to do West End Live properly this year, because it's my favourite event.
I am very passionate about people doing what they love and not what people think they should do. Hashtag Cheer Up Charlie was born just over 12 months ago now, due to my decision to make a stand against bullying. I'm now very lucky to be in a position to use my voice and speak to people like you, to give my generation the hope that things will change, especially with things like Kids Week. But change needs to be learned. How can we help get over this massive negativity around the arts, especially in the playground?
I don't know, Charlie, because I think you're right. I think I think in the playground, sport is considered the cool thing, do you know what I mean, to do. And if you do like theatre, there is always often negative connotations. I just know that I think that you just have to stick with what you're doing, Charlie, and you have to believe in yourself. Look what's happened. You've believed in yourself, and now I bet you all of those people would want to be you, you know, because you've taken something and also you've been embraced by that. And I think that's what theatre is brilliant about. It is really welcoming. I know for me, I have always found theatre a very lovely and caring place to be, and it's been something that, you know, there's a lot of people with very big hearts in theatre, and I think, you know, there's a generosity there. So I think, I don't know how you change that negativity around in the playground, but I just think I think, and I know I think theatre's really cool and really good, and there's nothing as fun as if you see a really, really good show and you get transported. It's brilliant. And it's also just, there is a feeling of camaraderie if you're putting on a show, if you're involved in any type of event that's really unique. And so I think there's a place for everything. I think there's a place for fabulous sport. I think there's a place for theatre. And I think we should just allow everybody to do what they want to do and be passionate about and not judge it, and just, actually respect it and celebrate it. Because if we all did that, if we all focused on the positives rather than the negatives, the world would be a much better place.
Yeah.
Does that answer your question? I don't know if it does, Charlie.
Definitely answers my question.
You hang in there, Charlie, is what I would say.
Definitely answer my question. I hope in the near future to get industry leaders together and put on a whole day's workshop for children that have never experienced the magic of art. Do you think that this is something that could be possible?
I think that absolutely is. In fact, one of the things we were going to do before we had to sadly close down the theatres was we were going to do something called Inspiring Future Theatre Day. So one of the programmes we run is we go out, people in the industry who go out into the schools, often their local schools, to talk about what they do, precisely, Charlie, to help people understand what's involved in the world of theatre. And we were doing a programme which, if it worked, we wanted to roll it out further, called Inspiring Future Theatre Day. We were doing it with Westminster schools. We were going to invite them in, and we did it as a pilot last year. So what we did is the schools came in and we had 500 kids, and they all went off and did different workshops, a little bit like Kids Week, but more sort of careers events. So they we did a Tina workshop, which was amazing. It started off on a blank stage with nothing but Henry the Hoover, and then they built and they showed you all the different parts of what goes on into getting up to actually making a performance happen. So how important the sound is, the lighting, the stage design, what the wigs are, the quick changes, and it was fascinating. And so we really wanted to build on that, and I'm really hopeful that next summer Inspiring Future Theatre Day will be able to do exactly that, to bring young people in to be able to talk stuff. And then also for those people that are slightly older, we do an event which again I've been really part of, which I love, is called Theatrecraft. Now probably this year we'll have to do it something virtually, but that again, if you really want a career in theatre, it's a brilliant place to go, because you went from the age of 16, you can go in and you can meet all the people who are at the RSC, the National, at sort of Andrew Lloyd Webber theatres, LW theatres, what they're called, and you can get to talk to them face to face and meet them and talk about different career opportunities. You can meet the drama schools, and it's not just about performing, it's actually not really about performing, it's about all the backstage roles that are available, and that's hugely successful. And there's also a brilliant website which we support called Get Into Theatre, and that has some fabulous things. I mean, again, slightly some sort of 12, 13 years old upwards opportunities there. So Charlie, I think there are lots and lots of opportunities for you to continue to get involved, and I think hopefully when we're through all of this, all of those things that were due to happen, like Inspiring Future Theatre Day, and then of course Theatrecraft and everything, will happen again, because it's really important that we get as many people coming into the arts, both as audiences but also as part of our workforce.
So do you support any charities?
I do. I support Great Ormond Street and Click Sargent, because I got 2 kids, and my little boy was a patient at Great Ormond Street, and so it's sort of a place very close to my heart, and he's a massive supporter, and he's wanting to he's made quite a bit of money over the years for Great Ormond Street and for Click Sargent. So so those are charities that really are important to me, and also UNICEF as well. And then we also do something which I've been able to be through this period, is we've set up something called the Theatre Artists Fund, which was set up by Sam Mendes with a donation from Netflix, and that's to support all the freelance workers at the moment who are getting no money and no support from the government, to try and help them through this through the pandemic.
With your son being in Great Ormond Street for that amount of time, it's a little bit like me, because over the course of my life, I've had 13 surgeries on my ears, and unfortunately, the last surgery I was in the theatre, not the theatre I like and you like, for 8 hours, and that caused me to lose hearing in my left ear.
Oh, Charlie, it's awful. I bet your parents had a really tough time, because I mean, Jack has had a lot of hospital experiences as well. That's been sort of, he first got ill when he was 2, and he's been in and out of hospital. But I think just like you, he kind of just gets on with it. It's amazing to me how, you know, how positive he is, and how, you know, I think then it's just, you just make it work. You just, you know, and I think that experience, Charlie, and certainly with my son Jack, has made him so strong and so empathetic as well, and really understand, you know, really caring about other people, which I think is a really, really good quality.
If you could give yourself some advice as a child, knowing what you know now as an adult, what would it be?
I think that I never thought I'd be doing this job for so long, but the reason I have, and the reason I've worked for a company that I love so much, is I've just done something I enjoy. So I would say follow your heart and follow your passions. Don't think about what other people are going to think. Just go for something, because if you do a job you love, then that just makes everything, you know, worthwhile. And I think I've been really lucky that, you know, I've worked for an organisation where I've worked really hard for that organisation, but they've been so supportive of me, and so supportive of the projects I've led on, but also just dealing with Jack in hospital. They've been really, really wonderful. So I think I feel very lucky. My piece of advice is follow your heart, do something that you love and believe in, and it will work out.
So now's for some funny questions. Are you prepared? Because this is my fun, so it gets interesting.
Oh goodness, Charlie. Okay, that was the easy bit then. Right.
Yep. I tell my mom off for doing everything at 1,000 miles an hour. She just never slows down. What do your children tell you off for?
Oh, they tell me off for lots of things. They tell me off for saying sorry what, because I often can't hear them. I'm a constant embarrassment, really. My daughter does do a lot of eye rolling with me. So they tell me off for biting my fork as well, which I didn't even realise I do. So yes, we had a lot of family time, a lot of family meals. So genuinely, they think I'm incompetent, and so they often point that out, and usually I am. So yeah, that's my kids are far more capable than I am. So yeah, I think everybody, yes, I get the mickey taken out of me a lot in my house.
You've worked with so many incredible people and many amazing events. What is the most embarrassing thing that you have seen someone do, or that you have done?
On my very first day at meeting my then president, who was, so at the Society of London Theatre, we have the board and we have a president, which is sort of like almost like a chairman that lasts for 3 years. And I really knew, and I was trying to be really impressive, and I walked in and I literally slipped and landed at his feet. I was so mortified, and so I was just, and I tried to put myself together, and he sort of scooped me up. He was very, very sweet about it. I was just like, oh, it's just the worst first impression ever. So that was not a good moment. And I am constant, I constantly get my words muddled up or do something.
So now this is my favourite thing to ask. What is something that nobody knows about you till today? The more gross, the better, because I'm a kid. I love this stuff.
Well, I dread to think I'm really panicked, because we had to leave our offices on March the 16th. And I'm really worried I might have left some food in my drawer, and I haven't actually had the guts to tell Damien, our office manager, that something is there. So actually that could be absolutely disgusting. I might have got it wrong, because I do think that it was such a stress and such a panic, so that would be really gross if there's anything I have left.
Yeah,
that's
nice. Like 21 weeks. Well, then I hope you don't get in too much trouble with your boss Damien, because he's not going to be happy if there is rotten food in your drawer.
He's really not.
So let's move on from that. Now's for a round of quickfire questions. Who would you go and eavesdrop on if you were invisible?
Don't at this moment, probably Boris Johnson or something like that, so I could find out when our theatres are allowed to reopen. I'm not sure he'd tell me.
Superhero.
Oh, favourite superhero? Quite like Wonder Woman.
Favourite city?
London. I love loads of cities around the world, but honestly, I hadn't been in London for ages, and I came back in up on Friday night, and I just thought, I love London. I love the theatres. It feels just like my second home. Yeah, I love it.
Burger or pizza?
Oh, Probably I'm not a massive fan of either, Charlie, but I think pizza would probably be my favourite.
Heels or flats?
Oh, I'd be much better at wearing flats, but I'm renowned for wearing heels. But yeah, I'm really enjoyed lockdown because I've just been in trainers, and it's been revolutionary. So yes, but yeah.
Your Hogwarts house.
Oh, I think I'd quite like to be Gryffindor, but I'm probably a little bit of a Hufflepuff.
Text or talk?
Oh, talk. Always talk, Charlie.
2 things to take to a deserted island.
I would like to take a radio so I could always have music and could listen to people, and I'd really like to take a bath so I could have a really nice bath, because that's my absolute treat at the end of the day, was really nice bubble baths. Probably couldn't have it in my desert island, but that would be very lovely.
Yeah, I don't know where you get the water from. The only water I think you get is salt water.
You need to have a shower thing, but yes.
Also, you could get salt water and then get like coconut and mix it into like a nice.
Okay, that could work. But yes, that's my real luxury, is a really nice bath at the end of the day.
So thank you so much, Emma, as ever. That was another awesome episode of Musical Chairs with Cheer Up Charlie. It was so cool. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Charlie. It was so exciting to do. Thank you. That was my first big interview, so thank you very much. You were a great interviewer, so thank you.
Thank you, Emma. Bye.
Bye. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye. So, wasn't that a cool interview? That's right. So remember to like and subscribe. And if you subscribe, turn on notifications so you can always get notified when my next video comes out. So please, please, please smash that like button too. What the heck? 3,500 likes to make a difference for this video. Come on, guys. Let's do this.